Hey guys, a big episode tonight on BrainDead. A lot of revelations. One more episode to go, but we've got the after show for this week right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, welcome to AfterBuzz's BrainDead After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. A big, huge episode this week. I have to say, this was like one of the better ones that we've had in a long time. Lacretia and I were both feeling it, and we're excited. We've only got one episode left, but we got episode 111 this week. 6 points on the new congressional budget, the false dichotomy of austerity versus expansionary policies. Now that is a long title.
Like all of them. I mean, it's like, why are the titles like 3 sentences?
Oh my god. But thanks for joining us, this week, I am Kevin Ellis. You can find me on Twitter at @TheKevinEllis or on Instagram at KevinEllis25. I got Lacretia Lyon here.
Yeah, hey guys, since my name's Lacretia Lyon, you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one.
We've got Courtney missed this week, but she will be back next week. Thanks for joining us. Those in our chat room who are also joining us live, chat us up in this chat room, throw questions at us. It was a big episode, a lot of excitement. Start us off.
Yeah, I know. I was really glad after I watched this episode because the last two had sort of kind of lost me a little bit. You know, the end of the last one was pretty good, but this one really was like, okay, we're back on track. We're back to the conspiracy, back to the sci-fi. And, Gareth was just adorable.
I like how you said back to the conspiracy, because I completely agree. I think this week we felt that there was more going on behind the scenes. Like it was more political than it ever has been in the last 4 episodes. I felt like we actually had some plotting going on, some real drama. And I didn't feel that the last couple of episodes, but this week was fantastic. I mean, we started out with Gareth typing on his computer a resignation letter. I mean, this is a character who, even last week, we saw a little bit more loyalty to Red, or at least an attempt to, support his party that he has pushed away in hopes of gaining, Laurel's affection. But this week, we felt something completely different. What did you think about him, at least contemplating a resignation letter right off the bat?
It was really interesting to see that, seeing as how the episode before he'd pretty much decided to stick, with Red and do his job and things like that. But obviously, when you see a bug come out of your boss's ear and hang around and he's talking to it, you're going to be like, no, maybe I should resign.
It was such a bizarre thing. I mean, imagine being in Gareth's position and you've got your boss who has been acting funky for the past how many weeks. But now you see something as bizarre as you're going to ever see anything in your life. A bug crawls out of his ear, crawls back in his ear, lays eggs. It's just one of those... if I was Gareth, I would be calling my mom too, looking for support.
It's like, how you doing?
What's up, Mom?
Making sure you don't have bugs.
Reality here. So I think that was a great aspect of the writing. It was, you saw this kid who just didn't know what else to do but to just call his parents, and you saw we talked about at the beginning of the season. Gareth is just one of those good guys that you just want to see win, and that was one of those things. He was one of those characters that, when he was competing against Anthony, we just wanted him to pull through, and I think that was the cool thing in seeing this little interaction with his parents. It's like, okay, this guy, he's got a little bit of homeliness to him, and it's the endearing guy that we see every week.
Yeah, it was just so sweet because, I feel like there were several reasons he called his parents, and one being that he's worried about them in the state. Like, is this a bunch of people? He's calling them to make sure they don't have bugs in their ear, and also because he needs them. And that's why he also turned to Laurel in the end as well.
Right. Could you imagine a guy like Gareth who gets on the phone only to hear a changed mom or dad, as in an infected mom or dad? Like, that would throw me for a loop if I got on the phone. I know that we've been dealing with Laurel and her father, but I mean, like a guy like Gareth, who you can tell cares about his parents deeply. He's like that son that went to DC, chased his dreams, and what was it, Marianne,
Yeah.
his old girlfriend, is checking in on you, so he's a small town guy, small town values. That would have been terrible, and that was going through my mind at that point in time. I'm like, oh God, are his parents infected? So we've got the budget. The budget that was introduced by Red, and it was a bipartisan bill by Red and Ella. Sadly, we didn't see Ella this episode, but she was there in spirit through the bill. Luke initially pissed off. What did you think about that?
I really like that Luke is finally starting to take more of a leadership role. In this last episode, we finally got this resolution of Luke trying not to be a piece of crap. And more so, not with the birth of his daughter, but with Laurel, saying, I need you to be who you were, this hero, not this philandering jerk. And I feel like this episode, he really did start to do that.
I agree. Last week, Courtney and I were discussing how we were unsure of his true motivation. Like he was going to all these women, trying to break off with them, and yet he was still sleeping with them on his way out the door. So it wasn't truly genuine, but you could tell when it comes to politics, he was all in this week.
Yeah.
Though right when we see him his most fired up and in his element and trying to do good to change Washington, in making sure that there's no pork, there's no crazy crap in this bill, he gets distracted instantly when the CIA comes on in and decides to begin vetting him. What was your initial thought on the vetting?
I actually sort of saw the end coming, because I'm like, there's no way that they just all of a sudden decide that Luke is going to be the next candidate for the CIA director.
Right.
And Luke is just arrogant enough to think that it's all because he's so awesome.
Exactly.
And that's sort of one of the things that's a flaw, but it's also endearing about Luke, because he's still got that little naivety.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's one of those, exactly, naivety. He's one of those individuals who is just... he has such an ego that he's going to allow himself to believe that, he's fit for the job of CIA director. And so the second that they come on over and say he's going to have that opportunity, he jumps at it. He's excited. He's literally screaming into his own suit coat. That's how excited he is.
And that was so cute. This is really one of the first times I've really liked Luke so much, because he was so excited, like a little child.
Right.
Yeah.
I love how we've got a couple of people in our chat room. We got Ellen Hen right here, who is I guess Australian, and is just talking about how nuts American politics are, and it's true.
It's funny, yeah. And I would imagine that this show probably has good international success, just much like our news in general. It's pretty much the same. It's funny.
It is funny. But as you mentioned, I right off the bat believed that this was all a plot for Luke to at least come into the fold and push him aside, because he has power. He's a senator, and he has showed that he can push against Red, and that's exactly what they wanted to avoid this entire time. Now, do you believe that his CIA vetting was plotted before Red had encountered Laurel? Do you think that this was all set up from the beginning, or do you actually think that the campaign was contemplating him in that position beforehand?
I think it all has to do with the conspiracy and Laurel and stuff like that. I feel that they wouldn't have considered him for this just yet.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that you weren't thinking that beforehand, because it was a fleeting thought. At the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, was this possibly, was it the effect of the encounter between Laurel and Red, possibly leaning to that, but no. I completely agree with you. Gareth and Laurel. Well, as I said, once he sees and finds the queen bee, or the queen bug,
Yeah.
he looks like a lost child. Truly, when he sits down to meet with Laurel, he doesn't know like what to do. He doesn't know who to trust. But once he begins sketching the bug, even Laurel wasn't sure what to believe in what Gareth was telling her. Did you get that same sense that Laurel was at least questioning what Gareth had seen?
Yeah, because I mean, she's seeming to question it, so it's not too insane. Even though she's already said stuff to him, she doesn't want to seem too crazy, or he won't open up to her. And I felt like that was more of her reservation.
Right. Yeah. All right. So it gets to a point where Gustav, Rochelle, and then the other doctor. What was his name? Do we remember his name? God. I can't remember. If anybody can remember the doctor's name who is with Rochelle and Gustav, throw us in the chat room because I can't remember his name, but he was a great character. So brings on over the drawing and the theory to them. They're all on board. They believe it's the Queen Bee. Red is the host, but Gareth is not. He's still staggered. Doesn't know what to believe. Doesn't want to like fall into the sci-fi realm. And after that scene, he leaves the room, and he encounters Laurel in the hallway. Laurel's trying to, quell his fears, and they exchange a kiss. I did not expect that so soon after they've had so much back and forth, but it was almost natural. What was your sense of that interaction?
I really liked it because it seemed so human.
Right.
And it really worked with them, even though they've been on again, off again. It was still like, okay.
I think that they needed, more than anything, they needed each other in that moment because it's getting towards the end. Gareth is having a little bit of a crisis, and Laurel is now there for him in the way that she has, been, but not in the way that he's wanted her to be. Yeah, I agree. It was human. It was natural. And it's always cute between the two of them.
Yeah, they're pretty cute. Oh, and Ellen Hainwright sold us. It's Dr. Wu. So I was thinking, I was like, I think it's Dexter or something.
Thank you, Ellen. The kiss was what he needed to feel normal. That's a good call.
Yeah, I like that.
Monaco 47. Good call. Yeah, he needed some, as you said, like humanity. He just needed to feel like something was, anchor him down. So Cole Stockwell, who I was taking me a moment. I was trying to figure out what Cole has been in. Galaxy Quest.
Oh yeah, and he's literally played a judge in every show, from General Hospital to Boston Legal to I'm pretty sure like all the other David E. Kelly shows.
Really?
Or like Law and Order. He literally has played a judge on everything, is what I saw.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Because she is the daytime soap girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she hosts a couple of after shows here for our daytime soap operas, General Hospital and Days of Our Lives.
Young and the Restless.
Young and the Restless, that's it. That's funny. Yeah. All right, so he's checking out the budget. We know that he's going to have some kind of role later on, which, turns out to be. But, I mean, can you imagine going through that legislation and being able to decipher it and decode it in the way that man is able to? I mean, as Ellen was pointing out, American politics, this is what just blows my mind, is that we have books of bills that are, that's got to be 2,000 pages? I mean, and you have to go through that before it goes onto the floor 48 hours later. I mean, and you saw through Luke's, when he was divvying up the task of being able to go through like 300 pages each for each group. I mean, could you imagine being one of those aides and having to go through that?
Yeah, that sucks, but at least, he gave him teams for 300 pages. I did like how he just started ripping it apart. Yeah. And
you feel like
taking
Oprah
charge.
at a car giveaway. So at some point in time later on, Gareth discovers and then relays the information that Red had been making revisions to the Farm Bill portion. What do you think of Gareth going to these links now? I feel like he's full on board.
Yeah, that's what I like is he's fully committed to the team now. Team, I guess, anti-bug.
There you go, Team
Yeah.
Anti-Bug, Team Humanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that Gareth has now gotten to a point where he knows where Red is coming from. He knows what Red's goals are, and he's not having it anymore. He's committed to being the guy, the stand-up individual who is going to play the hero role. And this was his little way of going about it. And Red calls in Laurel for a meeting as he's benching 10-pound weights,
Yeah.
breaking a sweat.
And I just love how, he's trying to sell her on everything and she's just not buying it.
Yeah, I didn't understand at least the logic at first. Like, okay, what is he going to get out of that interaction? He knows that Lana is, which I love, by the way. I love that he always gets her name wrong, but that he doesn't. I don't know what his plan was going to be, and then when it turned out to be that he was offering $2 million to fund her documentary, I didn't buy it. Like, I'm like, this is the best that you can come up with, Red. What was going through your head?
To me, this is Red's little elementary way of understanding Laurel is like, oh, she loves to make movies. I'm going to give her money to make movies. Or like that's what she wants to do, right?
Yeah.
Save the world. I mean, that's why she makes these movies.
That's what's like odd about Red's character is that yes, he's so smart, plotting, he understands the big picture, but doesn't understand general like human quirks and how they interact with one another, and he doesn't understand that kind of bribe is not going to sell her.
And that probably has to do with, in general, after the bugs have eaten that half of your brain, since that is the one that will be able to decipher things like that.
Right. Exactly. I think that's what it comes down to, is that this is the biggest weakness that these bugs have. They don't know how to manipulate and be political in the way that normal Washington politicians can interact. They think too logical, and their ultimate goal dissuades any kind of plotting in the sense that a normal politician would, I guess. I mean, that's my general feeling. So we have Gareth when he was laying in bed.
Oh, yeah.
That was cute.
I know.
It
I
was
was
so
like,
cute.
and everyone just loves Aaron Tveit. So Gareth really is getting a lot of love in the chat tonight, too.
Yeah, Aaron,
Yeah.
as he always does. He is the sweetheart of this show. But so the phone rings, and okay, so we're hearing the bug hissing. Did you get a little worried for a moment that at least they were going to make an appearance in that bedroom?
Yeah, a little bit. I was kind of wondering if they were going to go there, but it was kind of nice that they didn't ruin the nice moment.
Yeah, I was a little concerned that at least he was going to have more of an interaction with the bugs themselves. But as I caught earlier on in the episode, I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if you guys caught it as well. But I've always wondered why Red does keep Gareth not infected. And I think he made a comment earlier on in the episode when Gareth was about to give him his resignation. He said that I like keeping you on board because you straighten me out. And do you get that sense too, that that's why he keeps him around, is that he gives Red that sensibility when he's going too overboard? At least he'll get some kind of input that, do you think this is a good idea? Even that concern, do you think that has any sway on Red?
I do think, because a lot of times people who are strategic in a way want to keep someone who's not like them around to sort of keep them in check as, part of their strategy. And so I think that's some of it. And also I feel that he has the intel on Laurel with Gareth being there. So whether inadvertently or not, her being around, he can sort of watch her because Gareth is there.
Yeah, I think that it was one of those. Yeah, it was one of those moments where I just was like, okay, this makes sense. Though I don't feel like he ever listens to Gareth, and that's the problem. Since he has been infected, he hasn't done anything to go along with what Gareth's advice would really like give, I guess. I've lost my train of thought there. But all right, so yes, and others in our chat room also thought bugs were going to make an appearance. They didn't, to our own relief, because he gets on the phone with Laurel, and then, as you said, it was cute as hell. The two of them, I guess, were in opposite rooms. Though I did have a little jump moment in here when she didn't answer his last question. I'm like, oh shit, what is about to happen? But then she comes on into the room. Aww. It was so cute. I have to say, like that would be a winner if Laurel and I were together. Like that would be a winning moment. You know, that comforting feeling. So we've got the vetting. The vetting continued, and Jermaine and Scarlett both had interviews with the CIA vetters, and I guess the affairs didn't really matter in the end because more than likely this was all a setup, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it's just, as they said, I mean, that's something that they can easily keep under wraps, and nowadays really isn't a big deal, especially being that he's not, a conservative candidate, and even for director of the CIA, no one cares who he's banging. I mean, and that really is what it comes down to, unless it becomes like national security risk.
Right. It is fascinating, and as I'm sure Ellen can relate to in our chat room, in American politics, it's gotten to the point where the Anthony Weiners of the world, those individuals who just, have all these sex scandals, it's not the kind of issue that once was.
No.
And it's fascinating because it used to be political suicide to have any sort of sex scandal in your background. But now this is almost a non-issue. I guess John Edwards has, faced one. It's fascinating. It hasn't been like complete political suicide, though Anthony Weiner really hasn't had a comeback. But today we're so desensitized from it. And I guess that's what this show has done a good job of, is pointing out how we are desensitized to certain things that go on in our general political environment, and like all of the pork that goes into these bills. Like, I mean, you and I are like sitting here, I don't know about you, I'm sitting here looking at a 2,000-page document, and I know full well that there's going to be a bunch of crap thrown into that bill that is going to be so costly, and yet what am I going to do about it? It's like, it's just the way of our political world here in the U.S.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that's how people get things passed or get dirt on their colleagues, because essentially most of that pork is either to force what you want to pay for, or to, if they deny it, you can bring it up later and say, well, they denied this bill that had this, but didn't put all the 10,000 things on there.
It is a negotiation tactic. And as Red and Luke exchanged at the beginning of the season, lobbyists, they used to bring on in these big parties, and Democrats and Republicans used to actually work together at these social events, and it just doesn't happen anymore. So, and just those little things in this show have been fun to talk about. And this show really has been great all season, along with all kinds of other shows. I mean, as we pointed out this season, in the history of television, there haven't been like so many good comedies, so many good dramas. It's just been a great year of television. Yeah. So, I mean, think about the shows that have been going on this season. You've had House of Cards, Modern Family, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, what else? Blackish, Homeland, Better Call Saul, Veep, Transparent, Silicon Valley. I could go on and on, Mr. Robot, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. But, I mean, really, television's golden age, it really is happening right now. And don't forget, The Americans, Transparent, Master of None. And on Sunday, September 18th, television's greatest night is the biggest live events of the year. And you can watch the show that celebrates great television, the Emmy Awards, and there's no better night to watch the best of the best as they face off, and you can see your favorite shows win, and some lose, sadly, but plus you can see what everyone's wearing on the red carpet, who looks hot in real life as they do their own shows. So be there on with one of the funniest men on television, Jimmy Kimmel, who hosts the Emmys live Sunday, September 18th, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC. So check it out, guys. I love the Emmys.
Yeah.
Seriously, I love the Emmys, and it's gotten a lot more fanfare in recent years. I
Yeah.
mean, compared to the Oscars.
To me, it's the best award show to watch because it's voted on by the people basically in the industry, and they're voting for what was really good. You don't see a lot of just this is what critics liked for the Emmys, and that's what I like about it too. Is it's a little bit more down to earth for an award show.
And you know what? And I feel like at times they do listen to at least what the viewers want more so than what just the critics want. Because you have the Oscars where you have all of these individuals making these, these Hollywood insiders who see, okay, a movie like The Artist. No, don't get me wrong. The Artist, great movie. But it's, and that and Argo, they're very, like, Hollywood-centric movies who anybody on the inside who's voting for these is going to, put their vote out for that movie because it's Hollywood related. But you've got shows like Game of Thrones, great show. It's going to get notoriety at the Emmys and it's going to get some awards. And even in season 5 last year of Game of Thrones, it won best drama. And I mean, it doesn't have to be season 7, the final season of Game of Thrones to actually, or season 8, I guess is what it's going to be, to get an Emmy. It's not like too political in that regard. So I like that aspect.
Yeah, it just seems a little bit more fair too, because I mean, you've seen recently even stuff like Jane the Virgin. Shows on CW are winning Emmys now because they're voting for what's the best out there, not just what makes money.
Definitely, yeah. Good point by bringing up the CW. You do have some good shows like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Jane the Virgin, Gina Rodriguez. Great actress. It's getting some notoriety, and I like that.
And, apparently they have an Emmy-type show in Australia called The Logies.
The Logies? All right, I guess, Ellen, you're going to have to let us know what that's about. So
I was like, that's an interesting fun fact I did not know.
Yeah. Some shows out here, we don't get some good stuff. But, all right. So, Anthony made a reappearance. They brought him back. It was short, but he's thrown some shade towards Laurel and brought back the whole bug conspiracy that she had thrown out in her Appendix Q briefing or interview. I should say.
I have to say, I was so impressed with Laurel throughout this whole thing, how she kept directing it. And it was very smart every time. Like this time where she's like, yeah, he was just jealous after I broke up with him. And that was an easy way to throw it off. And then, of course, her other one where she's an auteur.
She's almost, and I think we've all realized this, but she is a much better politician than Luke. She should have been in politics. She just never wanted to be. But that is the brilliance of Laurel, and she is able to maneuver and throw aside all of the things that are thrown at her as an individual, personally and professionally. And this was one of those great instances, and it was only thrown off by Gustav and his big mouth walking on in and literally saying, "Oh yeah, the bugs. We can do it with we can show them with monkey brains or whatever he said." It was just like, "What are you doing, Gustav? You're throwing it all away for Laurel." But she still found a way to make it better, and that was what was she was selling it as a metaphor. Her bug comments as a metaphor. Did you catch the fact that she draped herself in a more artistic, artsy
the whole little outfit and it was pretty funny.
She was totally selling it all the way. Again, great politician.
Yeah, and Ellen says the Logie Awards, they're officially the TV Week Logie Awards, is an annual institution celebrating Australian television, which has been around since 1960.
Yeah.
The more you know.
EJB Red Sox, thanks for joining us again. We saw you the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it was a great moment when Gustav walked on in. Great comedy additions to the show.
I love Gustav. He's so funny.
I know. We want Gustav here if we can. Yeah, he was missed the last 2 weeks. And he always brings a good sensibility to the show. So Red and Laurel do end up meeting up, something that we weren't sure was actually going to end up happening when it was first proposed. But she walks on in to the Melanesian choir singing in Red's office. The politician that he is, trying to sell her right off the bat. And as we pointed out, $2 million he's willing to give to her documentary fund. And at one point in time, so the monkey brains, and forgive me, I don't know if I was just taking notes at the time when I was watching it, but what was with the monkey brains? So it attracts the bugs? Is that what it is about?
I think that was the purpose of it, was something for it to go on to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's really think about this for a second. If at any point in time you have monkey brains in your purse, and a U.S. senator says he wants to keep the monkey brains that just so happen to be in your purse.
Yes.
What are you going to assume of that said senator? I mean, like, this is just the ridiculous logic of Red. And I guess at some point he just doesn't care, or he just knows that Laurel knows, and he doesn't care at that point.
Yeah. So it's like, why hide?
Yeah, why hide? Why hide who I am, Red says. As you and I were talking pre-show. Tony Shalhoub, again.
Yeah,
he's just,
amazing.
He's just doing good work this season. Probably should have gotten an Emmy nom, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I guess it didn't happen. Maybe next year? I don't know if we were actually...
Yeah, it may have to do with how it fell. It's a summer show.
Series.
Yeah.
Maybe next year. I mean, hey, I would support it wholeheartedly. He has done fantastic work this show, as have so many good actors. I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Johnny Ray Gill, Aaron Tveit, Tveit. What is it?
I know. I'm like, is it Tveit? Is it Tveit? I've heard it both ways.
I have heard it both ways. So it turns out that this farm bill, Cole then deciphers it and finds that $300 million is going to be spread out amongst 80 small towns. And Laurel puts it together, that is these internment camps. What do you think about $80 million being $300 million being thrown on into these internment camps? I mean, we've theorized what these internment camps would be, but is 80 enough to really throw in a bunch of humans?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, how many people are not infected? I mean, we see, just in our little group that we see on BrainDead, the majority of people don't appear to be infected. So you're going to have to enslave them, in these camps ideally, but to me, I feel like they want to infect more people before they put people in these internment camps, maybe, is why the budget's pretty small.
That's what I'm not getting, is that I feel like it is a very small amount, and I don't necessarily understand the end game, because even small town communities, it's not like they're putting these things in like major metropolitan regions. I guess I'm not, like, it would have been realistic for me, at least, if I heard, okay, $300 million towards the planting of cherry blossom trees across the United States. Like, that would be a red flag, and that would make at least more sense towards the end game, and they just want to colonize across the United States. I'm not seeing that right here. So I don't get what's going on, but, I mean, we've got our season finale, which will hopefully offer some clarity there. I don't know, is that... It just seems like that if this is their big plan...
Is to put people in camps. I'm like, I don't really get that.
Buying it, but hopefully it does make a little bit more sense, and I'm not feeling let down by what the season finale is going to offer, so we'll see what happens. But Gareth comes on down. Once they decipher this farm bill properly, he says that, okay, between 85 degrees and 95 degrees is when they cannot breed. Is that what they said? So it waits for... Oh, no, it's when they do breed, air conditioning shuts off. He knows that Red is more than likely going to be... or at least the queen is going to be hatching her eggs around 10:30 p.m. So Laurel, like a James Bond, is sitting in his chair and swivels around, only to be surprising him in the moment of the bug coming out of his head. So I don't know. I don't know why Red wasn't a little bit more aggressive. He knows that Laurel knows and is probably after the queen. So I was a little surprised that there wasn't a little bit more physical interaction.
Yeah.
I was expecting that. I don't know about you. I was expecting that.
And to me, it's not like the bugs really take away people's strength or anything, because you
Right.
saw how Anthony, was, and these other people. So yeah, it did seem odd that he wasn't fighting back harder.
Yeah, I felt like it is his queen. He needs to defend her with his life.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case in this instance, so I was a little surprised by that. But she opens up the door, and Rochelle and Gustav are there to help take him down. And they don't quite succeed because Gary the intern saves the day.
I love how, there was the jokes about the interns in the beginning. Yeah, those are just rumors. And it's so funny. This one saved the day, so maybe Red won't blow him up.
Exactly. Sweet irony in that he gets to save the day, and he's not even infected. And so it goes. But we end with one of the cool, little twists, even though it was a little predictable. But the director's director of the CIA briefs Luke at Langley, I can assume it's the Langley, and says that they were completely aware of all of the bugs and they have a contingency plan to bring them down, but Laurel and Luke have to step down themselves. And it turns out Red is in on the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw that coming, but it was still pretty cool at the end. It's like, okay, yeah, have you told him?
What I want to know is whether or not that director's director is even that role. Like, if he actually has that role, or if that was all an acting job by some random dude.
Yeah, that would be what was interesting to me, to see if he's actually with the CIA. I would assume, because they're in the CIA building in Langley.
Yeah.
So surely he has some sort of position there, or and just knows Red.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be an actor.
Yeah, it could be. I was, I was just going through my mind, like, okay, to what lengths is Red going to go to sell this thing? And okay, so clearly the CIA director was infected, unless he was doing a hell of a solid for Red.
Yeah.
Not infected, which
Yeah,
would be crazy.
surely he's infected, or he wouldn't have been going along with that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gone pretty high. I mean, but still, Red is the king, queen of this party.
Elena Needs Hugs says he's the janitor. Maybe that's funny.
That's pretty funny. It was one of those things that it threw me off in that what is Luke going to do? And I think that's a cool prediction. What is Luke going to do in this moment of crises? He has the information to change the course of how this goes, but it really involves his ego. He has to put aside his ego and his opportunity to become the CIA director in order to possibly save humanity and, his sister. I mean, it's his sister that has been, fighting this battle, and he knows that she knows something. And he's never supported her own theories about the bugs, because even earlier he said, you have to put this aside. You're about to screw up my vetting. I mean, if it is your sister or brother, I don't know. Do you have a brother or sister?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a brother.
So, I mean, if it's your brother, what are you doing? What are you going to do?
To me, I feel like Luke will initially ask her to step down and want this job because that's his ego.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that, and as we predicted before about the situation with their father, maybe when he sees someone like that, and it's changed, someone he cares about, that's when he'll change and he'll be on board with Team Anti-Bug.
Agreed. And I think that this is one of those moments where it's going to be his shining moment. He's going to be able to undo all of the wrong that he has done over this season and in his past to redeem himself. I'm still holding true to the fact that I think Gareth is going to kill Red. That's my personal theory. But you would think that our protagonist would have to kill the queen bee. Or the queen bug. Why do I keep saying queen bee? Isn't it Beyonce's birthday or something like that? That's probably why. I think I saw that on Snapchat. So yeah, I mean, what is your big prediction for our season finale?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
To me, I do feel like it's going to come down to, a lot of people having to die, like Gareth killing Red, Luke killing their father, possibly. Just all, they want this to be a big finale since it might possibly be the show finale, since we haven't heard anything about renewal. So I think a lot of stuff's going to happen, a lot of pivotal moments, and we'll see if we actually do save the world, because, I mean, we got to end it, right?
We do have to end it. I agree. I think that there's going to be I would hope some sort of bloodbath. I think that a couple of characters need to die in order for this to happen, because or at least Red needs to die.
Yes.
Because if Red doesn't die, as they mentioned, if the queen doesn't die, then all of the workers can't survive. They will flee, in essence. So unless there is another queen, which is not the case in this instance, unless another meteor comes on down, which, wait, there were 2 meteors actually. Weren't there 2 meteors, or there was just the one in Russia?
I believe it was just the one in Russia.
Okay.
That they've shown. And a lot of people think that Scarlet will play a huge part. Especially maybe dealing with Luke's wife and child. And that's the thing, is Luke will see his father, his wife, his, mistress, his child. All of these are infected, so he'll want to do something, and I feel like he'll jump in at the end.
Cool. No, I think that this is going to be a very interesting finale, because it can go so many ways, but I think that there's only really one way to end it, and that's for Red to die. But Ella, I guess, still has a role too, because she still has the king.
The king, I guess. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in that regard. I would have to think that our protagonist is going to be Laurel is going to have to maybe team up with Gareth. I don't know. It might be a teamwork thing, because it's been a little bit of a love story between the two of them. It would make some sense.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. So do join us next week for the season finale. Lacretia, where can they find you on social media?
You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one.
Thank you guys for joining us in the chat room. EGB Red Sox, Monaco47, Ellen, Starman as always. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you hitting us up in the chat room. Join us next week for the season finale. I am Kevin Ellis. You can find me on Kevin Ellis25 on Instagram, or on Twitter at @TheKevinEllis. Again, one more episode, 2-hour season finale next week on CBS. In the meantime, stay classy, everyone.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.